To American Defense International Chairman Van Hipp, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Alan, to you first then, what do you think will come of that meeting? And the president, in the eyes of the media, can sometimes be in a no-win situation. If he is too nice to Vladimir Putin, it's deemed to be payback for whatever role the Russians might have played in the election. If he's too harsh, it might complicate a peace process or getting their help with North Korea. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I was born and raised down south, and one of the things that my dad taught me was that an empty wagon makes a lot of noise. So my recommendation to President Trump is not to go in there and do a lot of talking, but make himself very clear on about 2 to 3 points and get President Putin to understand that it does not end very well for him. I don't think that he needs to try to go in and intimidate or try to stare down a former KGB colonel. I think Barack Obama tried to do that and failed miserably, especially after the reset button. We need to be clear with Russia that them working and being allied with Iran is a non-starter. Them supporting the Taliban against our troops in Afghanistan is a non-starter. Their incursions in Ukraine and also the threats against the Baltics are non-starters. And they can get on board and help us against North Korea. If they don't, just get out of our way. And I think that should be the end of the discussion.
What do you think of that, man?
I think the president has called Vladimir Putin one tough cookie. He's going to be prepared. And, Neil, when I look at what the president has done today in Poland, he has brought his A game. Vladimir Putin is an old KGB agent masquerading as the president of Russia. And I think he's unsure of President Trump. He's even called him an untraditional politician. The one thing he respects, and the Russian bear has always respected through history, is strength. And we didn't show strength in recent years. This president is showing strength. Ask the recipients of that Tomahawk missile strike. And this LNG deal is a big thing. I spoke to Obama energy officials a couple of years ago, and they were frustrated, Neil, that we weren't moving forward to help our allies get natural gas in Europe. Putin has had a monopoly on this. Look what he's done now with the Poles and with the Polish saying that now you're going to get an enhanced missile defense capability. He has set the stage. He's operating from a position of strength. I think this president has brought his A game. You know what, Neil? Having a non-politician in the White House just might be a good thing right now.
All right, the question is how far you can go with that. And you know, we know a little bit from Vladimir Putin having, met with a number of former U.S. presidents in different capacities, that he is quick at sizing people up. And normally taking a dim view of American presidents, whether it was Barack Obama or George Bush or Bill Clinton. He, by all reports, was not a fan of any of them. And a lot of it he sort of sizes up with empty threats or gestures that go nowhere. That's very different being in a largely totalitarian state. He can do what he wants. So there's little appreciation for the oddities of a democratic republic. But do you get a sense right now, Alan, that is what is going to happen tomorrow, that this is Putin is going to be using this as an opportunity to size up this very outside-the-box non-politician who became president of the United States?
Well, without a doubt. I mean, one of the things you learn in the military is that you size up your opposition, or even when you have new officers or soldiers coming into a unit, you size them up. But the important thing, as Van Hipp just said, is that if we can export our energy resources into those countries that are dependent upon Russia, that is an action that is really threatening to Vladimir Putin because it undermines a very fragile economy, and it does not allow him to continue with these exploits that he has all over the globe. And I think that's the most important thing. Speak a lot less, but make sure that your actions after this meeting and even before this meeting, going in and meeting with Poland, that was immense. And restoring that missile defense shield, that's a very important step. And to get back to supporting NATO, that's one of the things that Vladimir Putin really does, I think, concerns him.
So, Van, real quick, if you had advice to give the president, what would you tell him?
Make North Korea front and center. We need their cooperation. We know right now open source intelligence tells us that Russian troops are still moving toward the Russian-North Korean border. If anyone can help us put pressure on China, the Russians. If they want to cut a deal, we need to get Russian cooperation against North Korea as part of that deal.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you both and for your service to this country, both exemplary.